Hello, welcome to Chapter 3 of Introduction to Public Health. I'm Jeremy. Let's get started. Now, again, this chapter is a little dense, but 3 big points. We're going to talk about prevention and how that intertwines with health delivery, of course, the health system in the U.S., and, of course, changing rules, themes, and paradigms. So, basically, you have this interesting confluence of public health and healthcare. That public health focuses on prevention, but does some clinical service, where healthcare system is about clinical service, but they don't completely ignore prevention. But both share the goal of trying to keep people healthy. So again, some of the health strategies they use are listed. Health promotion, of course, is trying to keep people healthy. Specific protection is targeting at-risk people for specific conditions. Early case finding, things like mammograms, where you start doing more clinical interventions. Disability limitation is when somebody has a condition, trying to keep them as healthy as possible. And of course, rehabilitation is bringing people back to full strength after severe illness. You have 3 levels of prevention: primary, secondary, and tertiary. And again, they get more invasive and more clinical as you go. So those are some of the ideas you need to watch for this time around. So in the U.S., we spend over $3 trillion a year on healthcare, which is about 17% of all spending, gross domestic product, that happens in the United States. So a huge piece of our economy. Right now, of course, you have an aging population that affects it, and ethnic and racial diversity is growing. And that'll have an impact because different cultures use healthcare differently. And of course, trying to bring them in to use healthcare where maybe they're more reluctant to do so. So looking at trends, obviously, you can see that national health expenditures have risen significantly over the past about 30 years, but there is a slowdown in growth between 2010 and 2012. In fact, looking at that, since the Affordable Care Act went in place in 2010, you actually saw the percentage of gross domestic product drop for healthcare for the first time in 30 years. So while it's still increasing, its percentage is falling. Looking at how we compare to other countries, this is what we spend per capita on healthcare is over $8,000 per person. And then, of course, the vertical axis is how long we live, which is lower than a lot of those other countries. As you can see, what we buy with that 17% of our GDP, most of it, well, a lot of it's hospital care and physician care, only 3% of it is public health and prevention. And then, of course, who's spending the money? Private insurance is about 1/3, out of pocket is about 1/8, and a lot of the rest of it is your government. And then again, how public health stacks up. We said about $8,000 per person spent on healthcare, but only about $380 is prevention. So looking at homework for chapters 3 and 4, you have quizzes this time around. There's a journal article where you're going to talk about what's going on with Zika. Where's the money? Is the money going to come? What's it going to do? Also 2 assignments. One is building a strategy for infant mortality, and the other one is talking about funding and Ryan White Part B funding. Where does it come from? What does it do? Follow the money as it goes across. Thanks for watching.